Schools are supposed to be safe places where children are not meeting predators. And unfortunately, I think that is one of the first places they meet predators.
In another case we've seen far too often, a Missouri high school math teacher is put behind bars on allegations she had sex with her 16-year-old student. Texas authorities arrested 26-year-old Haley Clifton Carmack on January 5th for charges of statutory rape, endangering the welfare of a child, sexual contact with a student, and fourth-degree child molestation. According to police, she was suspected of fleeing the state of Missouri after the allegations and was picked up in Garden Ridge, Texas, about 30 minutes north of San Antonio and nearly 12 hours away from where she lived in Lakeway, Missouri. Police in Missouri say they were alerted to Haley's alleged behavior in early December after a student witness came forward and reported the relationship to their school's resource officer.
Where is the rest of the community? Where is the principal? Where are the other teachers? This particular incident, it sounds like other students were the quote unquote lookout for this, and I'm going to use the term couple loosely. This is something I see very often in my practice, and I think that it makes people wonder about the bigger community. And so I think we've all heard the term that it takes a village to raise a child. That doesn't stop just because a child goes to school.
I spoke with civil litigation attorney Hillary Nappy, who leads her firm's victims' rights practice and has litigated hundreds of cases on behalf of survivors of sexual abuse. She tells me the female teacher-to-student relationship cases are happening far too often, and it's time for schools across the nation to wake up to the abuse that could be happening right under their nose.
Shocking news. You might have heard of this. This just happened last week. A 26-year-old teacher from Missouri has been arrested on sexual abuse charges after she allegedly physically and intimately abused a 16-year-old student at her school. According to the news, Haley Clifton Carmack was arrested in Texas on Friday, January 5th by the Garden Ridge Police Department on 5 child abuse charges. The former Lackey High School teacher has been accused of an inappropriate relationship with a 16-year-old student, according to the Sheriff's Department. Wait, what? A 26-year-old modern woman in her prime was this desperate that she chose to do it with a minor. Delusions much? Listen to this. Police were alerted about the relationship after the victim showed a fellow student images of his scratched back. A scratched back? What did she think she was? A cougar? The witness reported the relationship to a school resource officer on December 7th and said they overheard a phone conversation in which she allegedly told the 16-year-old, "I'm out of state, but I can send you money, baby." And here comes the most shocking part. The school's superintendent previously warned Clifton Carmack that she was too close with students. In a statement, a witness said that they believed the alleged victim was the reason behind her recent divorce. After the school faculty was made aware of the accusations, police obtained a search warrant for her phone and discovered several messages between her and the victim. Here's another twist. Another witness said that the victim's father had been told by Clifton Carmack about her involvement with his son. The father told the witness that he didn't make any efforts to stop the relationship because he believed it would be futile and they would continue seeing each other. He has since been arrested on a first-degree endangering the welfare of a child charge. The witness added that the two used the help of other students to keep a lookout while they engaged in their inappropriate relationship on school grounds. What to make of this? Well, in short, this is about a desperate and lonely divorced woman who used and exploited a 16-year-old boy like a predator and made full use of his youth. Now guess what? Since she's a woman, she's only going to get a year or two max in some prison, or maybe even be let off with some community time. Imagine if it were the other way around, guys. There would be mass protests on the street, news channels all across the US would be playing this story non-stop, and eventually, the school would have had to be shut down, and the accused given a 50-year jail sentence by the judge. When did we go so wrong in society? When did it become okay for female teachers to use their students like this? Where are the feminists now? Why aren't they talking about how a divorced, lonely teacher was able to emotionally alter the boy? Why aren't there any associations and groups coming in to protect the integrity of the young boy, who is incredibly impressionable at this young age? One might argue that this wasn't a case of abuse because the 16-year-old boy must have consented to this. Well, I can safely say that even a 14-year-old boy would have consented to this. But according to the law, and that's what laws are made for, the boy is still a minor and also a student of the teacher. Not only is this abuse, but it's also a direct violation of the standards meant to be upheld by educational institutions around the world. So, yes, why aren't the feminists talking about this? Where are they now? What have they got to say to this? Isn't this a typical case of oppression that you so casually talk about when it comes to masculinity? Doesn't this fall under toxic feminism then? The point is that a relationship between a minor and an adult is not acceptable. While yes, he may have enjoyed it, it was inappropriate for her to technically abuse him sexually. Instead of making jokes about it, we should all think about what is wrong and right. He is a minor. Modern feminism has robbed women of their meaning and purpose, and given them a new purpose that is only making women more and more miserable. You only have to go and see the women around your society or online today to know what I mean. Women are miserable because of feminism. They think they're part of some positive movement that liberates them of their worries, when in fact, it only steals their value from them. I was recently reading a study that said women who enter the marriage as virgins, or with one sex, which is now a rarity, are the least likely to divorce. Women with 10 or more partners are the most likely to divorce, but this only became true in recent years, the study said. This only goes to show that the more women sleep around, the more they're likely to lose any sense of loyalty and future stability when it comes to relationships. On top of that, no man truly wants to be with a woman who has a high body count. It's basic psychology. The more you have of something, the less you eventually want it. The less desire you will have for it, and it will only decrease the more value or charm it has for you. Relationships are like that. I've seen countless videos online where women are crying because they've slept with so many men. They just don't know what to do with their lives. I've said this many times before, and I'll say this again and again. Men were meant to provide and protect and spread their seed to build and populate. Women were meant to care for and nurture, provide warmth, and raise children with their men. Both have their qualities and reasons. It's only the woke female narrative that has made women believe that they're lesser beings if they're not doing everything a man can do. You don't see men crying about how they can't give birth. You don't see men saying they would like to raise children while women bring in the money and resources and the protection. Men and women have their own roles, and that has not changed. The more aligned a man is with his masculinity, the more successful he's going to be. He's not going to be able to attain that if suddenly decides because of popular culture that he'd rather be a woman. Similarly, the more aligned a woman is with her feminine side, the more successful she is. For her, success isn't wealth creation. It's the happiness of her children. It's in the moments that she shares with her family. However, modern feminism has completely twisted this to make it sound like being traditionally feminine is a weakness, that masculinity is a weakness, and that women need to be more masculine and men need to be more feminine. They've completely twisted it around, and women are miserable as a result. Listen, I'm all for the right of women to vote, work, earn, and pursue their careers. I'm all for women being able to live independent lives. But I'm not for a society where women are taught to hate men, or that their life's purpose is to ignore their own responsibility to society being feminine and being happily invested in raising their families. I'm not at all for women who feel as though they need to sleep around with 30-plus men in their 20s just so they can get back at men, or the 1% of men who they heard did that to women in the past. There are men who still act irresponsibly or do not do justice to their gender, but that doesn't mean women have to do that too.
A 26-year-old teacher in Missouri is being charged with R-wording one of her 16-year-old students, and the worst part is that the student's dad knew about it, and now he's also facing charges. So this is a 26-year-old teacher at a Missouri high school named Haley Clifton Carmack, and she was busted with having a relationship with her student after he went around showing scratches to his friends. One of the student witnesses said that the father knew about the relationship and that he said, quote, "They are going to do it behind my back, so I might as well let it happen." The teacher had also used other students at the school to be, quote, lookouts while her and the student were doing things in the classroom. The dad also said that he was willing to lie for his son, and then he admitted that Clifton had been to his house. The father let the teacher come to his house with his 16-year-old student and allowed them to do things. Now, after all this broke, the teacher actually fled the state, but now, as you can see from her outfit and her mugshot, she has been caught. But for you parents, what do you guys think about this? Would you do what that dad did, which now, by the way, he's facing between 3 to 10 years in prison, or would you have stepped in and stopped it?
I'm sure we all agree that what happened could have happened anyway, and there might be other such cases too. What matters, or what I would want to understand, is how doing what this woman did is okay for feminists to not utter a word, and how this should get the woman the same sentence that a man would get in this case. What needs to be asked is this the result and consequence of radical feminism that Jordan Peterson talks about? Or is this because of one desperate woman who was intimately lonely because of a failing marriage and saw this as the perfect opportunity to use the youth of a young boy and take away his innocence? Whether or not the boy liked this, did he deserve this? Or did the teacher have the right to enforce herself upon her student? That's what needs to be answered by the justice, and the woman should be given the sentence regardless of her gender. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Support us and help us spread support for men around the world. Do comment and share your thoughts. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.